Hello everyone, welcome back to the Watchaholic, guys. So today, this episode is actually going to be on my podcast and also on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello! And if you are on my podcast, welcome back. Thanks for listening today. So guys, today, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I am super excited because we're diving into a reality show. We haven't done that yet on this channel. I love reality TV. I am a sucker for reality TV. I will say it definitely started like with Jersey Shore. I'm a huge Jersey Shore fan. Like I could watch Jersey Shore anytime, especially seasons 1 through 3 are absolute gold of reality TV. Like,
I don't like you.
Why don't you like me? Because I came to you as a woman and told you about your man.
Don't want to know. You tell.
First,
like this was like MTV, like high, like bar reality TV, and really to this day, it still remains to be one of the best reality TV shows ever. And yeah, it is. Is it trash? Absolutely.
you want to get your ass beat, you get your ass beat. You can stay, get your ass beat.
But that's-
You can stay, get your ass beat.
Okay.
You can stay, get your ass beat.
All right.
Plain and simple.
Okay.
You want so fast with it?
Is it really bad for your brain? Probably. But you know what? I love it. I love every second of it. I love reality TV. I don't know if it's just because it's such a ridiculous, like, form of TV, or if it just, you can relate to these people, or if it's just like, you just can't believe that these people are, like, acting like this on TV, and it's pretty real. I mean, obviously, there's so many things that are very produced, and the way you're in this environment, it's very easy to fall into these producing like traps. So yeah, I love it. I love reality TV, and Netflix decided not too long ago to create this show called Love is Blind. And guys, I love Love is Blind. I am a sucker for this show. As ridiculous as it is, my God, it is entertainment at its finest. Entertainment at its finest. It really is. It really is. If you don't know what the show is about, basically you go into these pods and you go on like dates with a whole bunch of different people and you never see them. And you have to decide if in a certain amount of time, however much time it is, if you find someone that you fall in love with without ever seeing them. And then you have to propose without ever seeing them. And then basically at the end, if you decide like, okay, I'm going to marry this person, you propose. If they say yes, then you go into like these two different rooms, they open the doors and you see the person for the first time. And guys, over the last couple seasons, man, you can tell right away when someone sees the person that they picked. They're either like, fuck, or they're like, yes, I hit the jackpot, because they are automatically physically attracted to them. They're like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, I think they're very good looking, and not only that, I'm emotionally attracted to them too. But when it fails, oh, does it fail hard. But yeah, so we have, couples that have really made it. Season 2 of Love is Blind. The silence means something. Yes, it means something. It's absolutely was a disaster. No couple is together. They made it to after the altar, the Love is Blind after show, the special that comes in like a couple months or whatever it is, a couple of months after marriage. But yeah, they broke up not too long ago, and again, respects to them. I hope they are in a better place. But anyway, guys, I really want to take this episode to really just talk about the first 4 episodes of Love is Blind season 3. So they have 4 episodes that have already premiered. I'm about to watch the next 4 later on this evening, and yes, there will be a recap for the next couple of episodes, so watch out for that. But okay, I want to just start off really quickly by getting the elephant out of the room, which is Andrew. Yeah, this man, the guy that Nancy was thinking about marrying, which I actually liked Andrew at first. I was like, oh, okay, maybe he is a good pick for her. Is he a little bit, self-centered and a little bit kind of odd and eccentric? He was very odd. He talked about his, like, how he went on this very interesting sexual experience with a 41-year-old. He talked about how he used to be rich and then he decided to become a wildlife photographer and he's seen the world. And he was interesting. But Nancy was kind of into it, which I thought was odd. I thought she was like, had the ick with him, but she seems like she was actually into it. So, I don't know. But anyway, Andrew decides, this is when we talk about producer influence shit and producers just eating up some stuff that they were like, you know what? We're going to keep this in for the viewers. We're going to keep this in for entertainment. Because this guy put eye drops in his eyes to make it seem like he was crying. Literally, he did that. He was sitting like this, and then you could hear the producers asking him questions like, oh yeah, like how are you? And then he's like, wait, he's like, are we rolling? And they're like, yeah. And then he's like, and then he like gets into this position. He puts the eye drops in, and he like kind of pretends like he's like acting, and he's just all like, oh, I never knew that someone could bring me to tears. I just could not. I could not. I could not believe it. The moment that happened, I was like, well, she chose correctly. And guys, I don't know if you saw that little clip at the end of the preview for episodes, the next couple of episodes or the rest of the season or whatever it was. He makes a comeback, or not a comeback, but he comes back in another episode and he's like talking to Nancy and he's like, well, I think you're beautiful. I was like, oh my God, I can only imagine Nancy watching this back. Nancy watching this back is like, what the F? What in the actual F? So, yeah. I'm glad we got that out of the way because that was, it was producer juice, producer amazingness. But my God, I just can't believe that someone like that exists. You don't know what people you're getting on these shows anymore. And a lot of people have been talking about this, about the fact that you don't know, because now it's all really become about like people going on. This could have always been a thing, but now it's even more of a thing because social media and content creation and influencing and all those things are such a big thing right now that people are going more on these shows, mostly for just that. And it could have been like that before, but like back in the day, like this stuff didn't really exist. Now it's much more of a thing where it's like you go on a show and if you make good entertainment, you best believe. And if you're painting in a good light, ooh, you best believe you are going to be like, you're going to be getting sponsorships, you're going to be getting brand deals, you're going to be getting a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So, yeah. Okay, let's get it out of the way. So let's dive. The way I want to cover the recaps of this episode is I kind of want to dive into each couple and then just talk about basically in the first 4 episodes how they got together, how that's going, etc., etc. So we're going to talk about the first couple to get engaged, which were our lovely Alexa and Brennan. So they were the first ones to get engaged, and I think was it episode 1 or 2? I even forgot which episode it was, but in one of the episodes, right away they were the ones to fall in love. I think it was like probably like a week. The silence again, it means something. Guys, imagine literally proposing to someone without ever seeing them after a week, because you truly believe that after talking to this person for hours every single day, because I have heard that it's like hours, like you go on dates and you talk to these men or women for hours on these dates. You really get to know people very, very quickly. But imagine proposing to someone. I can't believe it. But anyway, back to this. So they're the first couple to get engaged, and Brennan is super duper cute. He's country boy, very tall, light eyes, a gentleman, you can tell. And then you have Alexa, who is this Iranian, like curvy goddess. Oh, she is precious. Now, I don't know how I feel about them as a couple. I think they are technically the most stable one as of now. We'll get into it later. But like, I don't know. I didn't find like that they were like, there was like this huge connection that I felt towards in the screen. I was like, ooh, yeah, there's a huge connection here, which is how I feel about most of these couples. I don't see any couple here where I'm like, ooh, yeah, I feel that chemistry. That shit is real. I don't feel it. But Alexa and Brennan, yeah, they're really cute, and we'll get into them. But basically, they were from day one. They were easy peasy. They were like, "Yep, you're the one. You're the one." There was no crying. There was no deciding who they wanted to be with. They knew from the get go that they wanted to be with each other. Then we have who named Zinab and Cole. I think they were the second ones to get engaged. I think. But anyway, now we have Zinab, who is this like 30-year-old something. I forgot how old she is. She's like in her 30s. Cole, a little bit younger. And it's funny because his last name is Barnett. And the guy from season 2 is named Barnett. And they kind of give very similar kind of energies, very kind of like kiddish vibes and like a man body. I don't know if that's the word to say it, but basically that's the vibes they're getting off. And basically you have Zinab, who is like super mature and like wants like a man. And then you have Cole, who I didn't know how I felt about him. Okay, so in the first couple of episodes, in the first 2 episodes, he was really into Colleen, Colleen. We will get into her. But Cole kind of gave like very like vibes of like, he gave more like superficial vibes, like that he didn't really necessarily want to get deep with anyone. But then he had a conversation with Zinab, and he felt like he could talk about very deep conversations with her, and he felt very connected to that. And that's when it kind of switched to me. Like at first I was like, oh, this kid's just like, he's just like a little boy, you know, like, whatever, like kind of annoying, a little goofy-ish, but just, I don't know, like kind of a little bit of annoying. But then he had this conversation with Colleen where he was like, hey, so I want to get deep with you. Like, let's talk about more deep topics. And she was like, well, I don't want to talk about that stuff. Like, I'm kind of like superficial or not superficial. She said shallow. Excuse me. That's the word. Oh, that's a little like, I kind of want to keep things on the surface. And I was like, what? Excuse me? I'm like, this guy's literally telling you that he wants to like talk about deep things with you, and you're saying like, that's not me. I kind of want to talk about, you know, just I want to keep things surface level. And then she turned around and got mad at him because he told her that he wanted to have something more deep and more serious with her than it just being a surface level thing, other than it just being, you know, he doesn't know what she looks like, but you know, he wanted it to be more than it just be like, oh, I'm talking to this girl who's a ballet dancer who I think is pretty. And she got all mad and started crying, saying that he was calling her shallow. And I'm like, you literally told him that. Like, you literally told him, like, I want to keep things surface level. So what the hell are you talking about? So that was like where it kind of changed for me. And I was like, okay, maybe there is more to Cole. Now, them as a couple, when they first, okay, so after he realized that Colleen wasn't the one, after that, he was like, okay, Zinab is the one. I feel more connected to her. You know, they get engaged. They meet for the first time. The doors open, which again is one of my favorite parts. The doors open and they see each other. And you can tell, physically attracted. They're like, oh yes, I like you. Yes, they've got a nice body. Yes, they're cute. You could tell he's really into her. Like, yes, yes, yes. Great start. We'll get into the next the first night together because she gets real awkward. Don't worry, we'll get into that. That's episode, I think, 3 and 4. We'll get into that one. Then you have the third couple who gets together, and that's, oh Lord, Nancy and Bartise. And I like Nancy. I do. I'm not sure where she's from. She's Latina in some way. Him, I can't tell what he is. I don't know if he's Latino as well, or he might have some black in him. I'm not really sure. This couple. So Bartise, kind of, 25. She is 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. She's about 31 years old. She's about 6 years older than him. But Bartise is, that guy on the show who's like, oh, I'm 25, but I'm mature and I'm ready to get married and I'm all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right, he's giving some interesting vibes. So basically, for Bartise, it's pretty much for the first couple of episodes, it's just him and Raven. It's Raven and Nancy for him. Those are the two girls he's like kind of going after. We will talk about Raven. But it's them two. Basically, after some interesting conversations with Raven. Oh my God, Raven. Raven. I hope you're not being pictured like this on purpose. or produce like this on purpose. But anyway, he finally decides he's going to go with Nancy after, you know, him realizing that Raven wasn't the one based on what he was trying to talk to her about. So he picks her and they're very happy. They get proposed. And this is the crazy thing, guys. This is crazy. So episode 2 ended with literally Andrew proposing to Nancy, and I really thought she was gonna say yes. I literally thought she was gonna say yes, because when she found out that Bartise was 25, she was like, oh, I don't know, like, this guy's a little bit young, like, I don't know how I feel about it. But then she's also been that girl who has a list, like, he has to be this age, he has to be like this. She has a checklist, and this checklist clearly has not served her in the past. That's what she says. So she's like, well, maybe I should switch things up, I don't know. But really, they introduced Andrew first, so I thought, oh my gosh, she's going into the room with Andrew, like, she's gonna say yes to him and not to Bartise. I was shooketh when she said no to Andrew, which thankfully, as we all know, I'm glad she did, because that would have been bad. But she ends up picking, Bartise ends up proposing to her in the next scene, and then she says yes. And then, you know, they have the whole thing where they're gonna meet each other, the doors open, and they look at each other, and like, this has shocked me. Didn't realize Bartise was very tall. He's a very tall man, because Nancy's, I guess, just very petite, but I was like, oh, he's like pretty tall. He's a tall man. Attractive fella. I can't get over the hair, though. The hair just really gets me out of it. Anyway, they are clearly very attracted to each other. They can't stop kissing. He can't stop looking at her. You could tell there is some physical attraction there. But then, this is when I'm like, fuck boy vibes. He was literally like, wow. He's like, yeah, her boobs are a lot bigger than I thought they would be. I was like, all right. Fuck boy vibes. That's it. Your 25 age just started showing so much just now, and I cannot deal with it. No. Anyway, they go off, they're doing their thing. Next couple to get engaged. I think it's Raven and SK who get engaged next. So Raven and SK Raven and SK. This couple, we'll talk about predictions, but I don't know. So SK for me is he's fine. He seems like a really nice guy from Nigeria. Raven, a Pilates instructor, beautiful, awesome body, big curly blonde hair, super light eyes. I'm not sure where she's from. She might be half black. I'm not sure though, but beautiful girl, beautiful. But Raven was going back and forth between SK and Bartise. You could tell that she was more attracted, not that she could see him yet, but she was more into Bartise at first. And this is when shit got crazy between episodes 1 and 2. Like, I was like, okay, this is a little bit like, or episodes, by the time we got to episode 3, I think it was. I forget. Those episodes start to land with me. Like episodes 2 and 3. Freaking Raven. Okay, so we have Bartise. He's literally pouring his heart out. He's like telling her like, oh, my parents separated at this time, and then I found out the reason why they separated, a whole bunch of stuff about his family. He's like getting really deep with her. And then freaking production. I love it. I love the way things are produced sometimes. It's just gold. So she is on the other side of the door, working out, literally doing jumping jacks, doing sit-ups, doing everything but paying attention to this man that is literally pouring out his soul, being vulnerable, telling her about his family, and she is on the other side doing Pilates. That's literally all she does. Is Pilates. I was absolutely shook. I was like, are they producing like this on purpose? Like, why is she working out? They're doing this on purpose. That was literally me. I'm like, yep, they're doing this on purpose. Absolutely are doing this on purpose. So, you know, he realizes that she's not paying attention. He's like, hey, I'm kind of pouring my heart out to you, and you're like doing jumping jacks. And she's like, you can hear that?
While you do your jumping jacks.
You can hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn. Why
I
is
heard
it?
it during that story, that monologue I was telling. I was like, oh my god. Bartiz gets
No, there's just a little fucking door. Obviously, he can hear you going like, as you're like jumping. Obviously, he can hear you. Silly. But you could tell that annoyed him. And I'm like, that shit would annoy me too. If I'm like trying to talk to somebody very seriously about like a vulnerable like moment in my life or something vulnerable and you're on their side like doing exercise and not paying attention to me, fuck yeah, I'd be pissed. So I think that was the moment that he was like, all right, this isn't the girl for me. This ain't the girl for me. No, 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 no. Raven, there's another episode and then she's talking to SK and she's also, again, working out, just not paying attention. And then he starts like opening up about his family in Nigeria and being like, oh, my parents or my family practices polygamy. I was like, which by the way is like when you have more than one wife. And you could tell in that moment, she kind of like, oh, like she's curious as to what that means, like what's going on, like what do you mean your family practices polygamy? So she's actually stops doing Pilates and she actually listens to him, and he's just like, no, I don't want to live my life like that, like that's not what I see for myself, but my dad has more than one wife, blah blah blah, talking about this. Fast forward to Bartiz comes back and he starts talking to her. And this is, I think, at the point where he's trying to decide who he's going to go with. And he decides, he talks with Raven and he's like, hey, I was trying to be vulnerable with you the other day and you were doing exercise and I need someone there to be there for me and to like, support me and be there, not to hold my hand, but just like be there for me. And she's like, well, I'm definitely not the type of girl that would do that. And he was just like, okay. So then he's like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out. And then she's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, that's fine. And then she just literally, like, they just separate. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Literally, like, 20 minutes ago in this episode, you were like, oh, yeah, Raven's the one. Like, yeah, I think we'd be perfect together. And then he comes to her and is like, hey, I don't think this is working out. And then she just kind of, like, blows it off. I don't know. Just saying, I don't know. So in the end, SK ends up proposing to her and she's just like, yes, I'll marry you. And guys, oh my God. Oh, when the doors opened, when they saw each other, you could just see it on her face. The face says all. You could just see it on her face that she was like, fuck. She was so awkward. She was literally like, hi. Hi. And like she would like kiss him, but she was kind of like, she had the ick so easy, like so quickly, like the ick was there. She was like, I'm not attracted to this man. This is not the man I expected to be on the other side. Like she was just not attracted to him. So yeah, that's how that went down. Pretty rough, I will say. Pretty rough. And then, okay, our last couple to get engaged, which I think is an absolute, I don't know about this couple, but they were the last ones to get engaged, and it is Matt and Colleen. Okay, so Colleen is basically a ballet dancer, super young, like in her 20s, and Matt is somebody who was, I think they might be similar in age, but he's been married before he got married. She's like high school sweetheart. It didn't work out. She cheated on him, all that stuff. And then Colleen is the type of person who's just like, oh, I'm a ballet dancer, but people always just kind of find me like very attractive at first. And then they just kind of are like, eh, and then it doesn't work out. So she's just never had someone who like wants to actually be with her. And then you have Matt, who's somebody who's like, I'm really trying to find my wife. I had a wife before and it didn't work out. She cheated on me. And Matt to me feels very real. He doesn't seem like somebody who's fake. He does give me very like you could tell he is desperate for love. Like he really does want to find love. He doesn't give me like fuckboy vibes at all. Kind of like Brennan. Like they don't give me those kind of vibes. Like they give me like people who are actually like you can tell like he was very hurt and he is looking for love. Now where I get upset with this, and it's because Matt at this point, obviously he watched his back, he will know, is that at this point, so Matt to me literally came out of left field. Literally, I was looking here and the football just hit me and I was like, wait, who the fuck is this? So Colleen was into like two other guys. She was into Brennan. It didn't work out. She was crying. She goes back. I think it was Brennan. She's crying and she's like, oh my God, like he doesn't want to be with me. Blah, blah. She's like, okay, back to the drawing board. Then she's talking to Cole. He tells her, oh, it's not going to work out. Oh my God, he said I'm superficial. Starts crying. And then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, but like, I have been talking to this guy, Matt, and there's something there. Maybe I should go back to that. And then she just goes all in on Matt. Now, obviously, like I mentioned before, this is TV. This is reality TV. Things are highly produced. You really don't know. Like Matt could have been second on her list for all we know. Like she could have been talking to Matt for a very long time, but the way that they're showing it on TV is making it seem like Matt was her third choice. When you never know, maybe it wasn't in necessarily that way. It could have just been, it's just produced wrong. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, but I don't really like it because it seems like she was very much of like, okay, well, I need to find someone to get engaged to. Oh, this guy will work. So then out of nowhere, it was like, I felt like their relationship out of everyone else's was the most rushed. I don't know. I just felt like out of nowhere, she was like, oh, I'm into Matt. Oh, yeah, I love him. Okay, let's get married. And now, when they see each other, are they attracted to each other? Abso-fucking-lutely. You could just tell that she is really into him and he is really into her. They're like, yes, I am attracted to you very much so. And we will talk about attraction very shortly. But they are the last couple to get married, not to get married, to get engaged. So, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely nuts. But moving on now. So let's talk about the first night that these couples spent together, because boy, is it telling of what is to come. So again, let's start off with Alexa and Brennan, who for me, I'm going to say that I really felt they felt awkward to me. And it wasn't necessarily coming from Brennan. You could tell Brennan is fully in. Like, he's like, yes, she's the one. I don't see anybody else. I love her. I love the way she looks. I'm into her. But Alexa, to me, gives me vibes that she's not into Brennan. It's either that she's just really shy and awkward because you are on a reality TV show. There are cameras. You are spilling your heart out. It's a lot. It can make you look like a different person. But to me, because he seems like he's so much more into her, she just seems boring. Like, I'm like, she's kind of boring. Like, nothing's going on here. Okay, let's go on to the next couple. Like, I don't know. They just feel like kind of boring to me. So I was kind of waiting for more, and I'm hoping that the next couple of episodes will give me more personality because I feel like she's kind of boring. We do find out, though, that she does come from, like, a really big family, really loud family, and Brennan does not. He comes from a family who doesn't even curse in front of each other, who's very, like, serious, probably very conservative, and she's probably coming from a family that's much more liberal, loud, and crazy, and just blah. So it'll be interesting. I'm really interested to see how it is going forward for them. So they definitely, all of these couples, by the way, except for Raven and SK, which we get into, definitely had sex, and we'll talk about it shortly about where that goes. But my God, so good for them. They did that. So let's continue. Just because I have something here that I'm just reading. It's just easier to just read off what I see here. Next let's talk about Colleen and Matt. So Colleen and Matt, when they had their first night together, oh man, are the fireworks going off. The chemistry between them, which it's interesting because I did say before, I don't see any couples with chemistry. I don't know if it's chemistry, but it's definitely like physical attraction. Like he is into her like bad. Like they were on this like outside like porch area and they were like kissing and they were like on this, it was like an outside patio like couch thing, and she was like sitting like laying next to him and he was just like, oh my God, you're so sexy, oh my God, and they're like kissing and making out, and I'm like, oh, they're definitely boning after this. I was like, they're definitely gonna go and bang, like abso-freaking-lutely. They're ready to go. So far with them, I don't see any red flags coming up just yet. I still don't believe Colleen as much, that was really into him like that, but I don't know. But their first night, you could tell that they were connecting, they were talking, there was stuff going on. They didn't seem boring. They seemed like they were into each other and they were willing to talk more about getting to know each other. And stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. Then we have Zainab and Cole. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, so their first night together is a trip because, and this is when you're like, Cole is just like one of those guys that clearly just does not think about what he says before he says them. But their night was so incredibly awkward. Like, they were both in the pool and they were just like Zainab, I think she's just really reserved, or just like was just like very, she kind of had a wall up. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like weird because, you know, think about it. Like, for maybe a month, a couple of weeks, you've just been hearing a voice. You hear a voice and you picture in your head what they might look like, and then they come out and you see them and they might not look anything like what you expected. So you kind of have to like put the pieces together. You're kind of like, oh, okay, this is not who I envisioned, but this is the person I really liked based on their personality and based on how they talk to me. Now I have to get used to like what they look like. And sometimes it could just take a while. You have to learn to really get into that. But Zainab is just like in the pool and he's just like in the pool too, but it's just like awkward tension. And it's not like good sexual tension. It's like awkward tension. It was very uncomfortable to watch. And then he was like, okay, this conversation's so weird. Let's talk about something fun. What's your favorite cat? What's your favorite big cat? And it was just like weird. Like, you could tell she was just like, what the fuck? Like, what is this question? You're acting like such a kid right now, which continues into the morning. But that night, she takes off all her makeup and he's in the bed and he's just like, wow, you really do look like a different person. And she's like, oh, great. And you could tell right there the insecurities are starting to come up because she's just like, what do you mean? Do I really look like a different person? I mean, granted, I'm not going to lie. Even I thought she looked pretty different than like when she took off her makeup. I was like, man, I don't wear makeup at all. So like to me, whenever I put on makeup, I feel like a different person. So I can only imagine if I was someone who wears a lot of makeup and then I take it off, it's kind of like you would feel that way as well. But hey, if she feels more confident with her makeup, you do you, girl. You do you. Do you, girl. That's fine. That's fine. You do you. But that's in that moment when you're like, wow, Cole, you couldn't think of something else to say. Like, oh man, you look beautiful you look beautiful without makeup on. But the fact that you tell her, oh man, you look like a different person. It's like, and she's about to go to bed with you. Like, it's your first night. She's probably not used to maybe this is the way you're joking or something like, you know, it just, it was not good. It was not good at all. Not good at all. So then you have, how do I say it? You have, yeah, so that's how they spent the night. Very awkward. And then the next morning, it was very much of like she felt weird because he didn't like talk to her. Like, they definitely, you know, they did the deed. But supposedly a couple times they did the deed, but like she just said she felt really weird the next morning because he didn't talk to her at all. And usually like she thought that you would cuddle and like talk and stuff, and he just kind of rolled over and just like got up and didn't talk to her for a couple of hours. And in my head, I'm like, well, maybe he was just tired. I'm like, who knows how long you guys stayed up? You know, like he could just be tired. And then he's in the like shower and he like puts out this little like heart and he's like, Zainab, look. And then she's like, Cole loves Zainab, and she's like, yeah, like she was talking to a child. I was in that moment, I was like, oh, this girl is super passive aggressive, like super passive aggressive. The whole morning she was being so passive aggressive to him, just like, you know, I don't know, it was just bad. And I just think the problem with them is that they have not learned to communicate. Like, their ways of communicating are clearly very, very different. And that's why they're misunderstanding each other. And everything that the other person is doing is annoying them because they don't know how to communicate what they really want to, like, the best way. So they're both just misinterpreting things. Like, he's thinking like, oh yeah, everything's great. And then because of the way he says one thing, she thinks it's not going that way. And then she's being passive aggressive to him. And then he's like, why is she being passive aggressive to me? And then what happens? Miscommunication. So there's enough with the passive aggressiveness. Just tell them what you want to say. That's what I think. And then we've got Raven and SK. Oh god. Oh my god. These two. So Raven and SK, they did not do anything that night, including cuddle, including kiss, including hold hands, anything physical. Raven has the total ick for this guy, and it's written all over her face. Every time she's like next to him, she's just like not into him. And it's sad because like I don't know if he can tell or if he's just like, oh, you know, like we'll get there, which actually I think that's what he thinks. I think it's just like he thinks, oh, we'll get there, it's fine, like it's fine. Boy, you gotta read the signals. If a girl is into you and she doesn't even want to cuddle or touch you or really kiss you, really, like something's off, in my opinion. Like I would think that something's wrong. Like why doesn't she want to? And I'm not saying that they had to have sex. Absolutely not. That is not the case. There's like, you do not have to have sex the first night. But, and you could, they said they spoke all night and that's fine. But like, you could just tell that like, there was just no like physical connection between them. And you would want to have some sort of physical connection with someone who you're going to marry. Am I right? Like, I would think so. I would think so. So yeah, it was just not good. I think she has the crazy ick for him. And the next day they went and did Pilates and did more outdoorsy stuff. And I was like, even when she's doing her interviews, she's doing Pilates. I'm like, this is an ad. Like she's literally on the show as an ad to be like, hey, I'm a Pilates instructor. Come in. Like she's literally doing Pilates every second of the frame that she is in. And it's actually very annoying. Like they haven't done anything that he likes to do, which hopefully they will do in the next episode. But like all they did was like, she's also kind of passive aggressive to him. They were doing like this like relaxation thing with these like bell things, and he was like fell asleep during it, was like snoring, and then she got up and she's like, oh well, you were napping all the time, and oh, you were snoring, and like just being super passive aggressive. And then they both talked about the fact that like, oh, the pizzazz is missing, like we got to get the pizzazz. And I'm like, well, you're not helping yourselves, because it's not like you're getting any closer for the pizzazz. You're literally always like, I just don't feel it. Okay, well then try it, at least hug the guy, get more physical with him in some way. Not, like I say, not sex, it doesn't have to be sex, but just like to get something. My opinion, I don't know. This couple to me is not on a good road, in my opinion. But anyway, last we have Nancy and Bartiz, who definitely got it on that evening. And yeah, they're very sexually attracted to each other at this point, like very much so. You can tell they were definitely going to get it on. They were in the tub talking, and Nancy's like, they're all laughing, everything's great. But if there is one thing that I cannot take, and it's not just Bartiz, but just in general, and it's when I hear it, I cannot stand whenever I hear guys go like, oh, come here, kiss me, come here, give me a kiss, come here. Like, it almost sounds like it's contrived on TV. Like he's just like, oh, come over here, babe, give me a kiss. Like it's like he's like doing it for the cameras, and it really irks me. The amount of times he said, come over here, give me a kiss. I was like, okay, there's a difference. You can ask somebody for a kiss here and there, but the way he says it, it gives me the ick. Gives me the ick to an extreme. I cannot take it. I can't take it. But yeah, he was all being like, oh yeah, like we did it like 2 or 3 times. She had to go to the shower and she has to shower off, and like just being very like very, very like, again, fuckboy energy. Like that's just what he gives me, is fuckboy energy, and I don't know if I can get over it. I don't know. Maybe it'll change. We've got like a couple of much more episodes to go, so maybe it'll change. But that's basically the next day. They were just like talking, and then Nancy was just saying like, you know, I would only tell my friends how old you were if they asked, and all this stuff. And then she was just saying like, oh, my dad is 15 years older than my mom and my stepdad are like 12 years apart. I don't know, all this, like how their ages are a lot. So clearly this is something she's really, really thought about, because maybe like it hasn't worked for like her parents, so she's like, I don't want to be older than my partner. Like I don't know what her deal is, but that was something she really mentioned. But yeah, they were very into each other. Everything was great, and yeah, they're definitely very, very into each other. But then, guys, we go into episode 4, which is when the couples finally meet each other. I think it's all in the same episode actually, but the couples that night meet each other. And guys, this is always my favorite part of like Love is Blind in general, is when all the couples get to meet each other and you get to meet the person that you might have dated or not. And this is always the time where Nick and Vanessa, which if you didn't know, Nick and Vanessa Lachey always come out and they're the hosts of the show. And really the only thing they're there is just to just basically say like, you are on Love is Blind. You are here to find out if love is truly blind. Now let's go meet your couples. And then that's about it. They don't really give advice or come in or really do anything. Like they're just there for that. So they meet the couples, and I mean, for the most part, everyone's like, oh my God, like, so nice to meet you. But the ones that really, really hit, and I'm pretty sure hit for everybody, was when Bartise met Saw Raven. You could just see in his eyes like, oh man, I think I might have picked the wrong girl. I mean, a girl looked good. Like, she had, like, this tube top, like, high skirt. Like, I mean, she's a Pilates instructor. She's clearly in really good shape. She's beautiful, like I said. But it was just so obvious in his eyes that he was like, fuck, I think I made the wrong choice. Oh, my God. Like, she's so much more attractive than I thought she was going to be. And then that's when you're like, that's where it sucks, because it's like, you look at her and you're like, and he just starts saying, just in general, like, I'll just repeat what he was saying, but he's pretty much like, oh, this is definitely the type of girl that I would go out in the real world with. This is the type that I would be attracted to. This is the type of girl I would go and talk to, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, then maybe that's why you were on the show. Dude, like, remember how she treated you in the pod. That's who she really is. Just because she physically looks good doesn't mean you guys would make a better couple. Like, that's the whole point of why you're on this show. And then the fact that he just, like, sees her and he's just like, man, she looks so hot. Oh my God, she's so hot. Oh, like, he was just like talking about her in such an inappropriate way, which then brings me to the rest of the evening when he basically tells Nancy exactly that. He's just like, oh, well, because Nancy's telling him like, oh, I saw like SK and I couldn't believe SK was in my, top 4 because like I see him and I'm like, oh, I definitely wouldn't be attracted to him. And then he's just like, oh, he's like, it was the opposite for me. He's like, Raven would definitely be the girl that I'd go out with in the outside world. Oh my God. Like, she looked good. Like, but he's literally telling his fiance this. Like, I understand being honest, but you do not tell your fiance literally that. And she says, like, to the cameras on the side, she's literally like, what the fuck? Like, obviously, what the fuck? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was shooketh to my core that he would say that to her face, literally to her face. Could not. I could not. Raven doesn't really talk about Bartise that much. She kind of is like, oh yeah, like he's attractive, like the muscles are definitely there, kind of what I envisioned, blah blah blah. But you can't really tell if she's just really thinking like, ooh, I made the wrong choice. She doesn't give that vibe. But Bartise definitely gives the vibe that he was like, oh, Raven was the one. Like, oh, like I should have given her a chance. I shouldn't have like written her off. And it's only because he's just seen how attractive she is. And that bothers me. Then you have Cole, who kind of has a kind of similar feeling with Colleen. And there's this one scene in particular where Colleen and Zineb are like dancing on their own on the side, and then they start talking to each other about like if they had sex with their partner, and then it's so awkward because I'm just like, you both realize you were both the top 2 for Cole, and now you're both talking on the side, and then you're talking about how like you had sex with your guy, and we're like, yeah, we did like 2 or 3 times. I did like 3 times. Oh my God. And it was a very weird conversation, and I wanted it to be over. I was like, this is weird. I am not a fan of this conversation. Like, no. But you have Bartise, Cole, and SK in all 3 of them talking about their relationship so far and how it's been. And then Cole is pretty honest with them. He's like, something's not clicking with us, and it's basically what I had mentioned, where it's like, I know this person's voice and everything, but then I see them physically and it's not connecting yet. I need it to connect. And he's like, like, I love this person, but it's like a different type of love. And Cole is clearly very confused. He's just like, what's going on? Like, it's not clicking for me yet. It's not there. And then Bartise is like, oh no, it's clicking with me. Like, yeah, we had sex, blah, 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 all that crap. Then you have SK who's just like on the side, like, oh no, like it's okay if she's passive aggressive. But I'm like, dude, you literally hardly touched the girl that you're going to marry yesterday. Like, excuse me? But he eventually does say like, oh, it hasn't clicked either. Like we are moving a little bit slow and et cetera, et cetera. But I just could not believe, again, going back to Bartise and Nancy, I just could not believe that night. Then, oh yeah, that's another thing, is that then like you could just tell that Bartise is clearly really invested in Raven and SK's relationship, because he goes into full on detail to Nancy about how like they didn't spend the night together, they spent their night apart, like going into descriptions, like just very invested. And you could just, Nancy's like, yeah, wow, yeah, and you can just tell in her head, she's literally like, what the fuck? Like, how could you be talking about this right now? Like, what the hell? Guys, I could not with episode 4. I could not with episode 4. With that ending, with them meeting each other, Bartise just... he is frustrating me. I hope there's a light at the end of the tunnel for this. But let's talk about my prediction so far. Who I think is going to make it. I think the couple right now who will make it for sure will be Alexa and Brennan. Alexa and Brennan, and possibly Colleen and Matt. The other two couples, or excuse me, the other 3 couples, nope, not making it. I do not think Zinab and Cole are right for each other. I definitely don't think Raven and SK are right for each other. Nancy and Bartise, they have similar like personalities. Like I could kind of see it, but I don't know, especially based on the preview that we saw, which, guys, I can't wait to watch episode 5. I can't wait to watch episode 5 because, we're looking at some interesting things for the future. We do see Nancy, like, walking out on Bartise. We do see Raven meeting SK's family from Nigeria, and there some moments of their wedding. You see Cole and Zainab actually talking about how they're like, yeah, I think we're in a better place. We've learned much more about each other. So maybe that's a light in the tunnel. You do see Matt actually like aggressively saying like, I can't marry this woman. Now, obviously that could be taken out of context, because he could just be saying like, oh, he could be talking about somebody else being like, oh yeah, you said I could never marry this woman. But obviously with production, they take it out, cut it up, and make it seem like he's talking about Colleen. Could be completely different. I don't know. So I guess we will see. And then with Alexa and Brennan, you do see Brennan meeting Alexa's family, and how you can kind of tell that he's a little bit more quiet and reserved, and he does feel a little bit uncomfortable being around her family. And you do see like his mom at the wedding day being like, are you sure you want to do this? You know, just a beautifully cut produced trailer that will make you really think that somebody's talking about this, but really it's not. When really Brennan's mom could be like, are you sure? And then he's literally like, yep, I know, she's loving my life. You know, like there's just so much stuff that could be misconstrued, because that is what trailers do for reality TV. And you know what? They're good. They're good at it, which is why I'm sitting here right now talking to you about it, talking about how I can't wait for the rest of the season. Because, I cannot wait to see the juiciness. Oh, yeah, we also see Colleen and Cole kind of doing a little bit flirty at the water. Don't know how that's going to be, because shame. What else did we see that looks a little misconstrued? I think that was it. But I'm excited to see the rest of the season. I really looking forward to it. This show is, like I said, a guilty pleasure of mine. I absolutely love watching this. Netflix has some good reality TV shows. Like, they do. Like, they have this other show called Too Hot to Handle, which is also a ridiculous premise that I cannot wait to come back for. Like, I think it's going on its 4th or 5th season. I'm not sure. I love that show. It is absolutely freaking nuts that people would rather have sex and touch each other than win thousands and thousands of dollars because they're that horny. And I just can't stop talking about it. Anyway, guys, Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so much for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Guys, oh my God, we have so much more stuff coming up and I am very excited. We've got some more tier ranking for my YouTube. We've definitely got more for the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.